So a lot of you know Luckiest Girl Alive is having a lot of coverage around the subject matter of how they tell this story. It's a very, very dark subject matter, and a lot of people are thinking that the film is relatively problematic. It is, but not for the reasons people are saying it is. The first one that you hear is that there's a lot of victim blaming in this film. Just because there are characters around Ani that are pushing her to either tell her story or don't tell her story, doesn't actually mean that the film is problematic. At no point in the film does the narrative say that victim blaming is the correct solution. There's no glorification of the way her friends react to it. There's no glorification of the way her fiance reacts to it. In fact, the movie actually doubles down on itself when it specifically calls out the teacher for being the one person who never shamed her, even though he could have in her eyes as a victim, which is all very real. Other people say that it's problematic because of, let's say, certain characters like the fiance, who starts to push this idea of, okay, don't tell your story, and that's not a true supportive partner in that scenario. Yeah, the character has flaws. Flawed characters are very realistic portrayals of people. Actually, I believe that the use of the fiance is one of my favorite uses of a partner in cinema, because it's a character that has a lot of spoiled tendencies because where he came from, which is great, you have to keep that, but is also a relatively decently supportive partner, but then isn't truly supportive when it counts. That is so realistic. A person who is supportive when it works for them, but isn't supportive when it works for the actual person who needs the support. Heck, others say that it is problematic because it shows the people who are being bullied and the other victims outside of just the assault as bad guys because of their participation in the shooting. The reality of the situation is it happens when people who are bullied can no longer take it. It's not saying that everyone is going to do that and make that kind of choice, but it happens. And no, this film was not exploitative of its use of assault. Every graphic image that was used was very deliberate. It was telling a story, and it's a very real story, grounded in an experience that a lot of women deal with today. Just because it's very hard to watch doesn't mean that we can't see it. I believe we should watch this more rather than less, because it's watching imagery like this that truly shows how disgusting and disturbing this subject matter actually is. However, the movie portrays Ani as someone who is disassociating from reality to such an extreme degree, where they're having constant, incessant, dark, intrusive thoughts that genuinely affect every single moment of their life. Not everyone experiences trauma that way, but some people do, and she had a very extreme trauma. Where it becomes problematic is this person, Ani, in the end, tries to find justice, and that somehow heals her. That's not how it works. Either you are a person who has experienced this type of trauma and has found peace and has moved forward, and then potentially may want to find closure in justice, may want to do what they think is right, or you are a person who genuinely suffers from this trauma on a day-to-day basis, suffering from PTSD, and you need therapy. Years of it. You can't just mix and match to make whatever character you want for the film. This movie almost conveys the story as a psycho thriller and then just goes, no, she's better now. She found peace. Someone who's dissociating that severely would not find peace that easily. And the reason why that's problematic is because it is a disservice to the process of healing that many people have to go through. And it's very important for filmmaking to start touching upon this subject matter and actually diving deep into the healing process that is required and how messy that can be and how strong and empowering it actually is, not just to find peace in a narrative, but to grab yourself from the dirt and pull yourself back out into the life that you want to live. It's a beautiful, really messy process, and we need to start seeing that more.